Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
That it is. Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick, Sammy McKee for the next 2 hours. Plenty to get into in this show. This will be a fun show.
Yeah.
We got a lot of topics out there.
We do. People will be crushed. We're not in a two-shot, though, Kyper. They were in boxes again, unfortunately.
Yeah, we are. Why?
I don't know. I thought we looked great in the two.
The glitch is over?
The glitch is over, yeah.
Okay. Eddie Olczyk will be joining us in about 20 minutes. Former NHLer, currently now Seattle Kraken analyst for Root Sports. Of course, we also know him for his great work south of the border for TNT. Be great to get his thoughts on this Seattle Kraken team that the Leafs will see tonight. I, for one, didn't see their success at the halfway mark here.
No.
They are much deeper than I thought. Anyways.
Yeah. I would say they're one of the teams that's taken advantage of a soft Pacific division. Like a lot of teams are worse than we thought. Seattle is deep, play 4 lines and 3 pairs, and so that's good enough to win a lot of nights in the Pacific.
So we'll look forward to Eddie Olczyk. We also got an old friend in PJ Stock in the second hour.
Yes.
I don't know where he's been, but he's got a lot of explaining to do.
I think he's the only guest we've ever had in studio. Stewie came in once?
Yeah, I think he was close to coming in. I don't know if he actually did. No, Stewie did come in last year.
We had PJ on deadline day. I think he popped up last year.
We are also going to hunt down Eric Lindros. He's in Philadelphia doing a few things for the alumni, I believe, or the organization, whatever the case is. We're hoping that we can track him down long enough to ask him about Connor Bedard and what is going on there. And we knew he was really good, but what we've seen in the last week and a half is taking the conversation to one of the best prospects in history. And that is now you're in Sidney Crosby, Mario Lemieux,
Eric Lindros
territory.
There is only a few people on earth who you can go, what does that feel like to? Who can answer the question? Eric is one of them.
And we will track him down and get that answer, JB.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so one thought on last night, Canada, USA, before we get to the Leafs and what was a great start for the U.S. team that looked in the first 2 minutes like this was their night, ended up being anything but.
Yeah. We had Bukala on yesterday who was talking about the U.S. team, had a lot of these sort of darting players who are going to make it hard on Canada's D, and there certainly were a few moments where you go, oh, they just might be better than Canada, but Connor Bedard gets on the board, and the boys started rolling pretty good.
I think the biggest takeaway would be that Canada versus USA and at any level of hockey is simply the best. There's just no feeling like you can talk about Sweden, you can talk about Russia, you can talk about any sort of natural rival that they have, but there's nothing that brings out the best in both fan bases like playing each other.
Air quotes on best.
Yes, big time air quotes. I actually went to an establishment last night in the GTA. I won't give a free ad, but the best wings in the world, I think, outside of Buffalo. Unbelievable.
No free ad, huh?
Yeah, it's an Ajax, Portly Piper. I'll give him a shout out. My wife's favorite spot. So, anyways, I give him a shout out. But we went there. The place was ripping, loud. Everyone was really excited for it. And I don't think you get that in any other.
No, we love
rivalry.
We love international competition, and yes, U.S. Canada has taken over Canada and Russia because we've seen them more than anyone else.
Yeah,
and that includes the women, right? Because that's all the women's had for really hard competition. Is each other.
And anything in any sport, your nearest neighbor's your biggest rival. That's just the way it goes. That's, you living in Kelowna, they're like, oh, you know how they are in Penticton. But you're like, what? 30 minutes down the road.
There's something, though, like once you strap on the Canadian flag, we love it.
Yeah.
And I've always said this. You can paint Canadian American flags on the back of turtles in a race. I think I can get 1 million people to watch it in Canada.
Yep.
Canada's minus
Okay.
110
That's just the way it is.
So
betting line. Yep.
the heartbreaking thing, though, about watching that last night is how long we've been robbed of that at the highest men's level.
Imagine being from the NHL and watching that and just being like, oh man, we should probably do a best
I
on
know-
best before 2025.
I'm not the only person that's probably has this thought or this takeaway today. I'm probably sure it's a pretty popular one, but it just, that thought was just going through my mind saying, all these people are here to watch the Canadian children go up against the USA children, and we are all incredibly fired up about it. It's like, oh my God, this Bedard guy might be really good. It's like, how about we see the guys that are really, really good play against each other at this level? Like, I can't even imagine what a USA-Canada game right now with the players that are available for both sides.
We're missing some
what
great
would-
Americans by waiting 2 more years.
What it would look like at the highest level is unfathomably great to me, and we're nowhere. There's not even a conversation about it happening. It's heartbreaking.
just one final thought
Yeah.
before we move on, and that is the disallowed goals and how that really struck a nerve with a few people south of the border. I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw Ryan Whitney calling it one of the biggest disgraces ever.
I saw Wyshynski saying that if that happened in reverse, Canadian people would be calling for a council with the UN
A referendum. If you will.
referendum.
Yeah. And
Here's the thing about the goalie interference calls, guys. They were goalie interference by international rules.
yes,
That's the key.
that's right. The call wasn't wrong.
Correct.
The rule is.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a horrible rule.
Well, the one where he pushes the goalie's pad, that's no goal in any
that
league
should not-
ever.
That's NHL.
No goal.
That's NHL. And Mike Johnson does a terrific job.
He's great.
He's worked here at Sportsnet, now is doing the games in TSN. He was leaning towards NHL rules when he spoke
Talk
of
about the head clip one.
the interference.
Yeah.
And that's what the majority of the country or the U.S. have.
That's what we know.
That's their gauge.
Yeah.
That's not a goal in the NHL, but we know international hockey is vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot touch a guy.
Standing in the crease, hit
In
the
the
goalie's
crease.
head.
It's
And
just-
listen, I don't think the goalie makes a save in any scenario there if he doesesn't touch him. It has nothing to do with the play. So,
But
I
like,
don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kip.
change the rule.
Change the
okay,
rule,
Like,
agreed.
come on. There can be some
goalies are
incidental.
hockey players too. They should have to play their position in the
Perfectly
hockey
said.
game.
Tell me when they step out of their blue paint and they make contact with a guy in front of the net.
Yeah.
It's no different.
Right.
Like if you
Coming into the player's ice or the player's coming
pushing
into
him
your
off,
ice, it's all
how
kind
about
of,
pushing him off or giving him some taps on the shin pads?
or perhaps
Like
the cup region.
let there be a little bit of a battle without feeling like
Yeah.
the interference. Was the contact the reason why he didn't stop the puck on the
No.
first disallowed goal? Absolutely not.
No.
That was in no matter what.
It's just a crappy rule.
I don't want. Like, I really don't want to live in a world when I'm watching hockey that
Where that's not a goal.
doesn't count.
Right.
Like, he made a great play, got the puck, spun, shot in the net. He happened to hit him with his butt, but
I mean, the final score is 6-2.
yeah,
You know, it's
no
not,
bearing on it on the final.
you
but,
know.
but the thing is that
I know.
in the flow of a game
Momentum
that makes it
changes, the game
3-3.
changes. Yeah.
That's a completely different kettle of fish. Canada goes down, gets 4-2-1, kind of changes the game a little bit.
Yeah.
But Bedard in that game, it just he wasn't even. I wouldn't even say he was that dominant. Like I think he was noticeable the whole night, but I wouldn't say it was his most dominant performance. He still gets the goal to get them on the board, gets an assist to set up one of them goals.
Loved
2
that he went
points.
right to the paint there too. That's a great sign.
And one of the guys I was with last night said it's like he can get you any way you want.
Yeah.
And it's bang on. Like he can fire it from the top of the circle. He can deke out your whole team, goes to the front of the net with a stick on the ice, puts one in. Like it was just a really
That's a
great.
good Canadian hockey goal. Stick on the ice in the
I
crease.
love the guy so much, man. I just hope he doesn't go to the Habs. I love him.
All right, as we said, in about 11 minutes, Eddie Olchuk will be joining us, and we'll tee up Seattle as well. In about 25 minutes, we're going to have a little bit of some all-star fun here. The NHL has vastly changed rules on how they name the NHL All-Stars this year.
And you
in
love it.
Miami.
You're thrilled. Can't wait.
Let's just wait for that conversation. We'll pick who we think that the league picked.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any of my sources out there that could tell us who actually got picked, we'll be happy to share it with all the listeners.
Yes.
I don't think I'll pick Shane Wright in my picks.
No, probably not. Hey, should we mention that he is on Team Canada? Do you notice him last night at all? Okay, we're gonna move on.
Move
All
on.
right,
Move
sorry.
on.
Okay.
Also, it's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Both of us have written pieces out there. You're sportsnet.ca. I'm the Toronto Star.
Mm-hmm.
Want to talk a little bit about your article, which I found fascinating, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I did. And it's about Justin Hall, and it really supports a different look at him, which, again, I find fascinating. And I'll tell you what I found the most fascinating thing about your article
Mm-hmm.
is that if you left the name out
Mm-hmm.
and you put in all your factual statistics, and of
Right.
course we're talking analytics here.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you talk about a $6 million defenseman in the National Hockey League.
That's why it's so baffling that people dislike him so much, because he doesn't make any money. You know, like you can only keep all the highly paid guys when you have guys who outperform their cap hit, and he does that very well. So tried to make that point, because you don't see what he does well. It's not sexy, but you do see the errors. Anyway,
All right.
that's all I have
Which
to say.
leads me to one more question for you.
Oh boy.
And that is your article this week a prime example of me, maybe a few Leaf fans, thinking that he's not as bad as we thought? Or is this an example of analytics just playing fool's gold
Yep.
with Justin Hall?
Great question. You know, this is you can find a stat for pretty much any player that will show they're useful. Like if I wanted to find Dennis Mulligan, I'm sure I could break it down to actually at 4-on-4 against, playoff teams. There's a number for everyone if you want to find it. There's just so many numbers for Justin Hall that support his usefulness. So I'm of the belief that the team sees the value they get out of them, but fans don't. And I hope that's the point of the article, to hopefully illuminate what the team sees in them.
And yesterday I asked, stats aside, do you trust him in the playoffs? And Sammy, I think you answered that.
I
with
said
a no.
I said, I think, honestly, a lot of what it comes down to is it's hard. Like it's hard to love again. Like it's hard to go into this, what you're going to be doing. And Kyper, you're an excellent article today as well. A bunch of Johnny journalists around here. I've got to start writing articles.
We're going to start wearing press hats with the tags.
Maybe
on.
maybe it's a bad idea if I start writing articles. But it just, you're going into a playoff series against the same team that beat you last year, close. But are you gonna go into it with the same guys that underperformed last year to cost you said series? Because that's the question. Do you have enough faith in those guys that every year it's
Kip's article today was really great too, because one of the things he points out is their power play percentage over the last two series, which to me is much more relevant than any Justin Hall.
Yeah.
Justin Hall or team toughness or goaltending.
Right. Like those are the
Right?
questions that needed answering.
So today I wrote for the Toronto Star, and really the big picture of my article today was pretty much a lot of similarities to last year, where they're going to end up with a very good record and have a ton of strong analytic,
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Boxes checked.
And they're heading into a
But
collision course.
as Sammy has alluded for a very long time, we're going to watch them maybe play 41 exhibition games here because they're playing Tampa Bay, unless you feel like they can still catch Boston. So that was the gist of my article today. Boston goes into California this weekend. The Leafs have Detroit and Philadelphia on the road. By Monday, will we have a very good idea if this is a reality, that it is possible the Leafs can win the Atlantic still?
I don't know. You think Boston's going to go into California and lose a bunch of hockey games?
This isn't 2014.
Boston's coming out with 5 or 6 points.
Yeah, they're going to go down there and just beat the brakes off all those California teams, probably, just like they've been doing all year. Like I haven't seen one thing from them to say that they're going to take a step back. Like, what part of their game is it that you're concerned about? Where do you think it's going to?
The best goalie in the world.
That's the one that you think is going to flip. Like what
But
will be
by how much?
That's
yeah, you're
exactly
right.
it.
Well, you're right.
Right? How big of a drop
Is he
off?
coming back to being the 6th best goalie in the league instead of the first best?
and
Like,
if you were a betting guy, and I think both of you guys are, would you bet
Ultimately.
on Allmark's game dipping more so than Samsonov and Matt Murray's?
no, I would not.
You could talk me into Murray, but not Samsonov. Like I think
I
Allmark.
think it's interesting. You're more on Murray than Samsonov.
Yeah, there's just more of a track record, and that he's shown me.
Yeah.
He's just
That's such a relationship like wife thing I just did to you. I just think it's interesting that you like him better than the other
It's
guy.
fine. It's
just,
fine.
It's fine. It's just interesting.
But
To
don't
me.
you
I think it's funny.
stylistically, to me, I can see Matt Murray being better in a playoff
Okay.
series than Ilya Samsonov.
Which leads me again in my article. I didn't focus so much on trades because we've done that.
Right,
We've beaten it up.
Yeah.
So what is the focus now on where do you put your energy on in the next 41 games? If in fact you are married to the fact that you're going to play Tampa Bay here,
Yeah.
where's the number one focus? I had it in the conversation you just had seconds ago, establishing one guy.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that? But by playing both guys, you know?
Can't.
Well, then
And-
how do you know who's the guy? You got to give him enough chances to
String games together. That's all.
if a guy looks
Well,
good for a couple, put him
I
back in.
disagreed coming out of Colorado with a big win against the Stanley Cup champions, Nate McKinnon back in the lineup, and Matt Murray doesn't get the next start, which isn't a back-to-back.
Mhm.
That is a lost opportunity for Matt Murray to string together games, and that's got to stop, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting in trying to find one of the guys and give them the chance to get into a rhythm. I think Matt Murray's injury history looms over all this because yesterday on the show we're talking about why not pull Samsonov at when it's 3, they're down 3 goals, 4 goals, whatever. A lot of it is, do you want to put Matt Murray in cold? A lot of this is, coming out of the Christmas break. Do you want to play Matt Murray when he hasn't practiced?
You think you can win rounds and play for a month and a half every other night if you're scared in December with this guy?
This is a huge question. And so to your point, maybe you
Find
should
out
find out
now.
now.
Don't wait.
Okay, you win. I like it.
Yeah, the flip side of it is if you want him to play every other night in the spring as your starting goalie, maybe you don't need to do it in December when you have all these points accumulated and you're probably going to be playing the team that you're going to be playing in the first round of the playoffs. Right?
Yeah.
That's the flip side of it. Like, do you really need to push them?
Mm-hmm.
If they've banked all these points, they're, like I said, probably in the spot they're going to be, maybe drop down, maybe get passed by Tampa. But to me, if you want to establish them, maybe you do it in the playoffs as opposed to right now.
Another one that I wrote
Yep,
about,
that's a good point.
and you touched on it, the power play and locking in and solidify that this thing is dangerous, and your 5 guys that you are throwing out there, and you have some idea of the different looks that they were able to pull off. Right now,
Yeah.
it's a crapshoot.
All over the map. So 2 years ago, the Leafs, I think they're second in the NHL in power play percentage, maybe 30%. Like they're really, really good. Last year, I think they were 25. I think it was good again.
But
Top
they
10.
cratered it at the most important time.
So in the 14 games of the last 2 first rounds, you had their percentage at what? Do you remember what it was?
14.9.
14 to 16, I think.
Yeah, I think it was 14.9 was the number. So less than 15%, which you noted was worse than the worst team in the NHL right now, which is I think Montreal is like a 15% power play or something like that.
And then the conversation goes to why.
Why? So after the first year, the thought was predictability. Matthews is on the flank. It always looks the same. They know what shot to take away. But the next year, I think they mixed it up. They didn't have the same looks, and they still couldn't produce. And then you watch Tampa Bay go out there, talk about predictability. Victor Hedman at the top. He worked it to Kucherov, who shoots one in the net. He does that fake half slapper pass thing. Like, they're predictable in their unpredictability. Toronto hasn't found an answer. They haven't found something consistent yet. They're searching still. Even though they're scoring at a high rate because they have a lot of talented players, they haven't found it yet.
Well, it kind of goes down to the whole conversation about this core and the big games that they've played in. Like, that goes down to the power play, right? Like, they've gone through a lot of these games where they haven't scored. You look at the series against the first one against Tampa where they cooled off last year. in the one before against Montreal where they cooled off in the big games, and then last year against Tampa. It's I'm not saying, but I'm saying here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One more on the
Personnel.
power play.
Yes.
I'm giving you three choices. Morgan Riley?
Yeah.
Sandin?
Mm-hmm.
Or other?
So it's Morgan Riley for me. In thinking about it a little bit, a lot of experience up there. Trust him to break it out. I just feel safer, and maybe safe is not the answer, but Rasmus Sandin, God, they put Rasmus Sandin on the power play 2 years ago for Riley in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, they did.
And
I
this season he didn't
hated
seem to claim it.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I just think it's like
I liked it at the time.
it's a Hail Mary.
I wish we were doing the show together then.
Yeah.
Sad, because I really liked it.
A Hail Mary, a last-ditch effort. I'm out of ideas. I'm out of chances. Right?
It is a criticism of mine is Keefe is too quick to, in playoffs, panic and change.
All I saw was a guy that was put in a position not to succeed in that scenario.
For Sandin. Yeah.
So,
well, this year, though, he didn't claim the spot by any means.
Like, if it's Morgan for you, and I'd say right now it's Morgan for me until somebody else pops up, it has to be Morgan Riley.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty is use the back half of the season now to take whatever flaws that you see out of him or the power play as a guy unit, and just you got 3 months to shape it. You got three break it down and build it back up. You've got the time.
Yeah. You know what kills me about this is my own little internal beef from my time there is Sheldon Keefe had AJ McLean in the minors, Paul McLean's son, running the power play. Yeah. Their power play is always humming, always so good. This year again, doing great. They brought up everyone in every position, and that was kind of Keefe's right-hand man. AJ's been in the minors for 7-8 years now, and their power play still can't get done in the postseason. That one kills me and surprises me that they haven't brought him along. Anyway.
Okay, let's welcome in Eddie Olchuk. Eddie, busiest man in hockey, no question. Thanks for making time. How are you, pal?
Hey, Kyper, Justin, nice to be with you guys. Hope you had a great holiday and Happy New Year, and appreciate you guys having me on. I got to ask the question because I've been out of the loop here the last, couple of days. I just watched the last 3.5 minutes of the Bucks-Raptors game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you just tell me? I'm watching it right now, and it's tied going into overtime. I can't believe what the hell I just saw. I mean, how would you compare, Justin? You're the numbers guy around here. What would you compare that in a hockey game? What's the score with 5 minutes left to go in the game?
Is it coming back from 3 goals? Is that reasonable?
I think 4.
No way.
More?
No way.
Really?
7?
I thought at least 5.
Really?
5.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. They could make a shot, eh?
Let's split the difference. We'll say 4, but my gosh, unbelievable. So
That's
it's good
hilarious.
to be with you boys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No defense anymore. Who cares about defense?
It's all an all-star game.
Right? Remember us?
Exactly.
Remember how petrified we were to come back -1? Now it's big deal. I'll get it today, tomorrow.
Might as well just open up the Zamboni door and just skate right into the dressing room and take your crap off. It's about the end of it. So all good.
The gig's going well. Apparently, the only thing missing from Seattle's game last year was you calling the games because it's made all the difference in the world. How, we've seen a few names for sure change the look and the feel of this roster, but there has to be more than just a couple of individual performances so far. What is the number one thing that you've seen out of Seattle that's holding themselves as a legit playoff team?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a lot to it, but I think that the one thing is, they have the puck, and they have guys that can make plays and not just shovel it zone to zone and put themselves in a spot where they're always chasing all the time. So when you look at the upgrades by Ronnie Francis, the general manager of the Kraken. Bringing in a guy like Burakovsky, bringing in Bjorkstrand, bring in a guy like Justin Schultz. There is something for guys that have been around the block a few times. And then you got Tanev, you got Schwartz healthy, which they missed the majority of the year last year. And you had Matty Beniers for only 10 games at the end of the regular season last year. So when I name all of those guys, you've got Schultz is in the top 5 as far as on the back end. And then the other forwards I mentioned, those 5 guys are playing in your top 9, and Tanev is probably, a back and forth between 9 and 10 or whatever. So they've really upgraded and gotten healthy, and they have the puck way more. And when they really can scoot, they can really check and they can really skate, and their defense has been relatively healthy. So there's just been a lot of good things. It's just not one or two. I mean, their power play carried them early, and then their power play went dry for a long period of time. Their penalty kill got off to a really tough start, and has pretty much been a struggle all year long. But I think they went they were 3 for 4 the other night, I think, in Edmonton. And look, if you can keep the Oilers to only 1 goal in a game, you probably got a hell of a chance to win, because they're clipping at 32-33%. So I know there's a lot there, but they just have the puck way more. They can skate, and there is an unbelievable confidence amongst this team here. And look, last year they had 60 points in 82 games, and they've only played 36 to this point, and they've got 44 already. So they are going to be playing meaningful games come trade deadline and then into March, and I would anticipate in April as well.
People probably assume it's a lazy comparable to look at Vegas, but I do see something similar with the bottom of the roster, in that everyone is a player. It's almost like they have, past the top guys, the third and fourth line are kind of second, third lines. A lot of depth there for this team. Eli Tolvanen hasn't been there long. How's he looked so far? Has he looked like someone that can give them plus minutes?
Yeah, I mean, only a couple of games, but he's a guy that he really never got a sniff, Justin, and in Nashville, and really kind of play in a top role like he hasn't, at least to this point. I mean, he's only played a couple of games, so I mean, he's not slotted in the top 2 lines offensively and playing with their more skilled guys, but he's getting some power play, and he could really drift the puck. But I think to your point, and I think it's an outstanding one, is that they've got some guys there that can go up and down and can play in a third or fourth line role and give them what they need, and they can chip in offensively and find a way to finish and find a way to contribute. So it's been it's been an interesting dynamic, but also like I said, there's a feel and a confidence and a swagger that look at. I mean, I think they're +6 in on the road this year. It's not easy to play in the league, let alone play on the road, and they've gone in some buildings, and when they're playing well, their game is north-south. It's not an east-west type of game. When they start getting into east-west, that's when they start giving up 4, 5, 6, 7 goals. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So they got some role players in the on the bottom 6, so to speak, that have really gotten off to terrific starts. And when guys have struggled, some of the bigger guys, the depth guys have stepped up, and that's a sign of a team that I think really gets it and understands how important depth is on a club on a nightly basis.
We're talking to Ed Olchuk, who calls the games for the Seattle Kraken.
Kipper, you've never called me Ed in your life.
I know.
What are you doing here? What did you
Edward Olchuk joining us now.
This is my poor attempt of being a professional host.
Yeah.
Edzo.
Exactly. just be a host. Don't try the professional part.
Thank you.
Leave that to the professional.
Okay, I'll leave this answer to a professional analyst, and that's you. So we're watching interesting times to be a goaltender here, and we're watching some amazing performances in the first half. Allmark's the one that stands out the most for us for obvious reasons. The best news for Boston is that this guy isn't like a pending free agent. You can only imagine how difficult it would be to say, okay, what would Allmark's next contract be? They got him 2 more years, I think, for $5 million. Thank goodness. Right. But then you got your Seattle Kraken that you've been watching and covering, and it's not Philip Grubauer, who they paid an exorbitant amount of money to leave Colorado. It's Martin Jones, who's played 80% or has won 80% of 16 to 20 here. So, like, what is going on with goaltenders in general, and will anyone ever pay a goaltender big bucks ever again?
Well, to answer your question, yes. I don't think there's any doubt that, teams are going to look and see what guys are viable and doable and to be able to fit in within the structure of their budget or what have you. But you guys know this. I mean, it don't matter. If you get it, doesn't matter what the salary is. And if you get goaltending, you got a shot to win every night. Do you need 2 goaltenders? I believe we are in a time where I think you do need to, and whether it's, you're talking about Allmark or you're talking about the situation in Seattle or, how much, honestly, how much talk has there been about how much powder's in the blue paint down in Florida with the Panthers? I mean, think about those 2 contracts.
That's crazy.
That they got down there, right? So look at, some nights, you're going to need your guy to be the guy. Like there are very few Vasilevskis. There are very few Hellebucks, as far as I'm concerned. Like as far as what I see on a nightly basis, and some guys are going to be able to, going to play the 60 games or play 55. But if it ends up being a 50-32 or 45-37, whatever the number is, you got to get it. So, Kyper, look, yeah, you like to get, you love to be in that situation where you go to the National Football League where you have a guy that comes in and he's under the rookie contractual status, right? He's in his first contract, and you don't have to worry about going from, paying him $3, $4, $5 million to all of a sudden paying him 25 or 30. Like, yeah, you'd like to find a couple of guys that are making $3 million each, and then you can allocate to other positions. But sometimes, it's a feel, and you got to think the guy's going to be able to come in. But when you start spending in totality, when you start putting $8, $10, $12 million into 2 guys, that makes life really difficult. But you mentioned Allmark. I was at the Winter Classic the other day, and he gave them a chance to win. Like, he really did. The Penguins, they were the better team early, and Allmark was able to give his team an opportunity to get it done. And look, you see what's going on in Edmonton, right? You got Campbell going there, and Skinner gets the opportunity, and they give him an extension. So, hey, you know what? Just whoever's playing, you got to put the guy in net. Doesn't matter if he's making 5 or 500. And
so spending more time watching the Pacific Division this year, there's some teams I think that have disappointed a little bit in terms of their expectations, which opened the door up for Seattle. Still, though, it has to be a little uncomfortable with Calgary and Edmonton nipping at their heels there, the 2 teams that had high expectations. How do you think those teams stack up against the Kraken?
Well, I could see. I think it's a competitive matchup with both of those teams you mentioned, Justin. I think everybody's waiting for both those teams, being Calgary and Edmonton, to go on a heater. I think everybody's waiting for that. Yeah. Everybody's expecting that. But at some point, aren't you what you are when you play 38, 39, 40 games? So I don't, I don't think, as you mentioned Seattle, I don't think they look at that and go, wow, these 2 teams are way better than us, or, look at, for the majority of this year, Edmonton and Calgary have been looking up at the Seattle Kraken. And they got a bunch of games in there. I don't think there's a team in the West that has played fewer games than the Seattle Kraken. LA's already played 41 games, and Seattle's got 5 games in hand on them. And I know you got to win them, and you got to play your games. And if you play, you win. Okay, you get your 2 points. But I look at. I've seen Edmonton a lot. We've done a lot of their games down in the States on TNT, and I saw them play in a game in Dallas. I think it was right before the Christmas break. I can't remember, but it was their dad's trip, and they went into Dallas there, and they checked. They checked the hell out of them. They played really well. Jay Woodcroft changed the lines up a little bit. He split up McDavid and Draisaitl, and they played an unbelievable road game, and they gutted it out late. And then watched them play at home here recently, and for 8, 10, 12 minutes, they looked like they could do that again, and then they can't defend, or they're not going to get a save. So I think there's a lot of unpredictability, especially in Edmonton. And I've only seen Calgary a couple of times, and I thought Calgary would, obviously with the major changes that they made, over the course of the summer, but it just, they just haven't been able to really go on one of those monster runs here, I think, that everybody thought about, especially with a guy like Markstrom in goal. And I don't know what you guys think of him, but I thought it was an unbelievable signing for the Calgary Flames when they got Markstrom, because I always have thought of him as a top 3, a top 5 goaltender in the entire National Hockey League. So Seattle's right there with him. At least to right now, if you're the Seattle Kraken and you're the organization and the players, you're not afraid of anybody, but I think the division's there, and they've proven that they can go into buildings and play and get points. And when the games really become magnified, we'll see how it all washes out come the trade deadline and on.
Okay, let's assume for 1 second here, Seattle gets in. I think we're all comfortable to say that we think Colorado's still getting in.
Yep.
Edzo, based on what you've seen in the first half, and if you believe it is what it is after this many amount of games, who's out? Edmonton, Calgary, or St. Louis?
St. Louis would be the team, because it just. Obviously they got the big injuries right now. Obviously, O'Reilly and Tarasenko, I believe, but they just haven't been able to really. I guess I shouldn't say that. I think I lump them in more so with Edmonton and Calgary than I would with Seattle. I just don't see the consistency there with St. Louis. And it's a great question, but I would probably, when you posed the question, I wasn't sure where you were going, Kyper. And then when you brought in St. Louis into the picture, I thought, well, wow, and look at, they've dug themselves a massive hole here. They really have. And you're right. Is Colorado going to get healthy enough to be able to get back? And, I'm sure every team in the Western Conference is looking, going, oh, great. They're going to end up as a wild card, or, and thanks for coming. It's one of those, welcome to the playoffs. And here you got, Makar, McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, and go on and on and on. So right now I'd probably lean more towards St. Louis on the outside looking in, but I would more put them in the team picture with Edmonton and in Calgary than I would with Seattle.
Edzo, have a great call tonight, man. Always a pleasure having you on our show.
Hey, anytime, you guys. Have a great night. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Eddie Olchuk. All right, you got a few minutes here. You want to go to a Sheldon Keefe clip on Seattle?
Sure. Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Score. They score a lot. Obviously, they're, I know over here in the East we would be paying all that much attention, but, number 1 team in the NHL with 505 goals. It's coming from all 4 lines and their defense. So, great depth. That can make you pay when you make mistakes. They come in waves. There's lots of quickness and skill, and they play very well as a team. So, there's significant challenges there at 5-on-5. Special teams haven't gone as well for them, and that's an area we need to be better than we were the other night and try to get an edge there. But it's a team, we've statistically look at them on video. You get lots of respect for them. You get lots of respect for the coaching staff. But our focus will be on our game and how we can play.
16 players with 10 or more points in that roster.
Interesting.
How many do the Leafs have? Because I know
they're not that They wouldn't be that far. Maybe a dozen.
The
Yes, get
Seattle
Sorry,
Kraken.
You're correct. 12.
Oh, wow.
Baker's dozen or dozen?
Oh, wow.
Can you name them?
Yeah. Okay.
The Kraken have led the NHL in goals for at 5-on-5. That's interesting. I mean, would not have expected that little nugget.
I love how Keith completely called us out and nailed it. He's like, a lot of people over here in the East would know that they lead. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you know why?
You're right.
Because who's watching them? No. Yeah, that's not something I would have known. They're fifth in the NHL in goals for, presumably because their power play is not very good. But yeah, interesting.
And looking for a good response off of that St. Louis game for me.
Yeah, well, and you know what? We've talked about how they've been a little bit more stout defensively. They've given up, as I said yesterday, 21 goals in the last 5 games, sorry. So there's work to be done here. They need to tighten back up and find a way through.
And
Obviously scored enough last game.
would you like to play the clip of Sheldon Keith, seriously, talking about the decor?
Do we not need to go to break?
No, we don't have
Go.
a guest on the other side. It's perfect. We got lots of time.
Go.
Let's stretch our feet here.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see. We're talking about it. You know, obviously this is the group we're going with again here tonight, and you know this is the group we believe in. It's a group that we, you know, by and large started the season with. So you know we're going to give this some time. You know, give time for things to settle back in here now with Sandine and Riley coming back, and you know Brody. You know, not too long ago, you know, wasn't an option for us. So. Just kind of getting back to it here. We like a lot of things that Timmins has done, and Ben in time he's come in has done a good job for us too. So we're well aware of that. We do have some back-to-backs approaching. But that said, I think it's also important that we give our group some time to, you know, I used the term recalibrate the other night, and I think that is important, both in terms of the pairings and how that goes, and the individual players that are coming back in to find their rhythm. So, you know, we don't want to let guys sit for too long. At the same time, I do think it's important to allow our guys some time to really get their game going.
The more I hear Sheldon Keefe, the more I feel like the organization loves a lot of their players.
Mm-hmm.
And the less I think that something major could happen.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Or else they're really keeping their cards
Right.
very close because, and I can only go by my experience, and we had a pretty good one in 1994.
Yep.
And Mike Keenan would tell anybody who was willing to listen how much he hated his roster that was leading the league in regular season.
It sounds like a great guy.
And
Get
can't
him on the
win.
show.
Can't win with Tony Amonte. Can't win with Mike Gardner. Can't win with blah, blah, blah.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
Well, I don't know how
I
public.
want winners.
I don't think Keenan was that public.
What was that from again?
Mike Singletary.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say Herm Edwards.
Yeah.
Herm Edwards is, you play to win the game.
Yeah.
Hello.
Like, yeah, well, it doesn't, like, they just got Hunt, of course, and you hear from Sheldon, it's like, oh, we're gonna give this time. It's not like they're gonna shop for another guy. You don't get that sense that they're gonna go shop anytime soon for another guy.
No, in listening to Sheldon, he's talking about their deep pairs tonight. Riley Brody, Giordano Hall, Sandine Liljegren as game 1 of the playoffs. Game 1 against Tampa Bay Lightning. This is as it's constructed. So before the show,
Dubas's loyalty concerns me.
yes, it should. Before the show, I had a note I wanted to ask you guys, and I don't think we've talked about it on the show in quite a while. I was thinking, is this going to be game one? All of a sudden it occurred to me, you know, Jake Muzzin's probably healthy by then.
Jake Muzzin's done.
You don't think there's a chance Jake Muzzin wants to come back and play?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. And that's just
great. I'm
that's
happy
just
to hear
me.
that.
Do
Yeah.
not agree.
That's just me. That's not a definitive source.
Nope.
That's not me reporting anything. I feel
I don't think he should.
like he is done.
I don't think he should play. I'm 100% on your page there. I know that these guys are competitive and they want to play. And you see guys coming back. Who was the guy on Colorado that was wearing a pink visor because the lights hurt his eyes? Anyway, whoever it was, stop. Your brain does not want you to play at that point. So yeah, maybe Muzzin shouldn't play, but I don't think it's past him to think he would want to.
Well, if that's the case, then you take the summer and
Matt Calvert's the name.
right.
Yeah.
For me, it's if he has any inkling of playing again,
Yeah.
resuming his career, it has to start next September.
I agree with you. That was the SN Gotta Ask portion of the show.
Whoa.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember how that originated?
No.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Is that like a burning question or something?
You know what? I think it came from someone who worked here. It was like, is Jose Batista on steroids? And everyone was like, what?
No, that's a burning
And
question.
he was like, I gotta ask. Just
Right?
asking.
Like it's
That's a hot
it's
one.
so bad when you're like teeing up something as the burning question, and it's like, well, what's his favorite color?
I know. Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
That's
do
a
you want to
burning
be the
question.
guy to say who in the NHL you think is on
No,
steroids?
On the other side of the break, I have a burning question. Who is the Toronto Maple Leafs All-Star this season?
Oh, okay. We're going to take a quick break, and then we
Hot
are going to
take
come
alert.
back with that conversation. The NHL set to announce at least one player from each team tonight. I think ESPN's doing it in their Washington-Columbus game. The twist now is that the league only names one player per team. So
And
that
they're-
means the remaining divisions will be rounded out
Selected by Johnny Bunch of Numbers
by
on Twitter.
the internet. By the internet. Do we think we like this idea
John Scott, anybody?
or don't?
The same people who named that boat Bodie McBoatface and elected John Scott to the All-Star game are going to be
You are
selecting.
not going to want to miss this conversation when we come back from break here on the NHL All-Star Game. And can we still call them All-Stars if they are voted in by the fans?
Good question.
Real Kyper and Bourne back after this.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We'll also catch up to PJ Stock in the second hour, and we're going to track down Eric Lindros, talk about Connor Bedard and the hype.
Yes. I mean, who could relate? Certainly not me. I was not good.
Okay, before the break, we touched on National Hockey League set to announce at least the league picks, 32 of them, one from each team for the NHL All-Star Game. That goes, I guess, early February.
Sure.
Sure.
You know,
in Miami.
We agree on our All-Star Game feelings.
In
We're
Miami?
going to talk about it. Yes, in Miami. So people will go.
When you do hear that the league and Emily Kaplan wrote an article for ESPN that goes into great detail about the NHL wanting more fan influence. NHL chief officer is Heidi Browning. She's behind all of this. So this is really, I think, this is Heidi now saying, you want it, you got it. As many as 3 votes will go to each division.
Yep.
2
For the
skaters
fans
and a
to pick.
goalie
Yep.
that the fans pick. Before we've heard of voting for captains and maybe a starting lineup, but this is next level stuff here because we are talking about a strong portion of what we'll watch in Miami will come from a popularity contest.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to start at the start, which is to acknowledge that the All-Star Game is not for you and me. It's not for diehard fans. It's not for us. It's not for Sam McKee. It's for...
Although I do like the skills comp.
All right. It's for kids. It's for potential fans. It's for sort of fans who want to be entertained. You know, an All-Star nomination used to be something that used to help you get into the Hall of Fame or people to consider your career credentials. It was meaningful. That's not a thing anymore.
Okay, if it's not a thing anymore, can we please not call them all-stars anymore? Because when I hear all-stars, I think of great players.
Yeah.
Like he's an all-star, great player.
The first beef is probably having to have a guy off every team. That's my first beef.
Can we just change it to NHL weekend showcase? Because that's what it is. It's a showcase.
Yes.
It's for your sponsors. It's for some people that want to mingle and rub elbows with some of the players, either at a fan fest or in the hotel lobby, get pictures. And it's a fantastic weekend for people that love that.
Yeah.
But to start calling as many as 3 guys from a division who got voted in by the internet all-stars.
I love the disdain in your voice when you say internet.
Can I?
That's not right.
Can I start we're going to get this because, I mean, John Scott got in last time because of this. Let's start with Pontus Holmberg for this show. Let's get Pontus Holmberg.
The push to get Pontus in the All-Star Game?
Push for Pontus.
The push for Pontus.
Get Pontus in the All-Star Game so that Kyper can be happy about the fan vote.
But
thoughts?
I am curious to see if fans do try to have a push for a certain guy.
Hashtag push for Pontus. It works so well.
The one thing, like, it's interesting. New York City would be one of the biggest markets in the NHL.
Yeah.
It's hard over the years for the Rangers to get people to have put in those votes. They're just not interested.
You got other stuff going on?
It just is never. The one thing that I heard from the Rangers was that it's not something that's important to them or they really care about. So does that leaves other markets there in a position to put more votes in for other players?
I mean, it's New York City. Even if more people find it less inspiring, there's just such a vast volume of people. Surely they can outvote.
The volume wasn't there.
How about from Toronto?
I don't know. I only know that someone said that it didn't resonate with our fan base.
Like, surely you can talk everyone in Columbus to voting for whoever you like on your team. You can get everyone, but still, if 10% of people,
Yeah.
if the Toronto fan base is interested in doing this, it should still.
And when we talk about traditional skills competitions like hardest shot, even the skate, the lap around it, I'll watch. I love that stuff.
Me too.
To be honest, I just wish to just play a hockey game again.
Not a 3-on-3.
How about a nostalgic NHL All-Star game where it's 5-on-5, it's 60 minutes, and the coaches or, some people with good reputations for picking teams do this.
Yeah.
1 year, can we have like a 5-on-5?
I actually like the idea of a throwback using like the jerseys that
a throwback to
5-on-5
real hockey games.
No, like Owen Nolan, the year he scored 4. Was it 4 he got the 1 year?
With the point?
With the point. Like, I love that. So wear those jerseys, play a hockey game.
Sammy, you
Yes.
also love the Zegras coming out blindfolded
Love
and doing
that.
all that?
Love that. Yeah.
Because that's really, I think.
I know how you feel about that.
It's not that
I hate it.
It's not that
You hate
I
that.
hate it. It's not.
Oh, I love that.
I hate watching it. You know what? I find it cringy. Like, I just, I don't know.
I just don't have any
We
feel
can't
for
have
it.
a dunk contest in our game. It's not the same. We can't pretend it is. We're trying to be the NBA.
It doesn't. It's nothing to me now. It's like I don't have any emotion when I watch it, but I know the kids
We're
must
dead
love
inside. That's what it is.
I'm all-star dead.
I just
I'm all-star dead.
I think maybe that's what it is that I like that they're trying to appeal to that side of I guess for children like the All-Star game is. But I'm with you guys. Like I love the fastest skater around the ice.
Yeah.
I love
Go shoot it as hard
hardest
as you
shot,
can.
the 4
all the raw
targets,
skill stuff.
the
Let's
4
go.
targets, the saucer passes into little nets. Love that.
What? No one on earth likes that.
What?
That's the worst event in
Passing's the best
history.
part of the game. That's the most exciting part of the game is passing. I like
Sure.
the passing.
As a skills contest, you won't find anyone who thought that was fun but you.
Really?
Watching Henrik Sedin and whoever was trying to sauce
high
it into a-
saucer? Oh, nothing gets me going like a high
Well,
saucer.
okay, but that's not what the contest is.
Okay. Anyways.
Just the thing that you worry about is that it just gets to become a clown show a little bit, as the players start.
Well, didn't the NFL
trying
just
to
say we can't
create
do it
more,
if no one cares? Like
right?
the players don't care.
Is that the pro?
The Pro Bowl. We
Pro
can't
Bowl.
make the guys care. We're just gonna have the skills contest, have a drinking contest. I don't know what you do with the players. You just
Okay.
tough to get them to care for a game.
All
Oh,
right.
anyway, but who's going?
In saying that,
Yes.
I got to ask Sammy, will Willie Nylander, the Toronto Maple Leafs, be pissed off when Mitch Marner gets named tonight?
Yes. I think the Leafs if they're picking one guy from the Leafs this year, the All-Star should be Willie Nylander. Marner's going to get anyway with this fan vote. They're all going to be Toronto guys, the fan vote. So he's going to get in.
Matthew's gonna go Hart Trophy to not on the All-Star team.
He should get voted in, but there's a chance that he's not there.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with expectations versus performance with this stuff, with awards, with getting voted for All-Star. Relative to their career expectations, William Nylander is having by far the best year on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's not right.
You don't think that's right?
Well, statistically,
He's leading the team in scoring, goals and scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
who's
significant.
more important?
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's not what I'm talking about here, Kipper. I'm saying
Who's been their most valuable player this year?
Sammy's point was versus expectations.
versus
though.
expectations is which a lot of people
Okay.
get in on. I just think that there's a world which William Nylander is the Leafs All-Star. But Kipper seems to know that it's not going to be.
The fascinating part of this is that the NHL, with doing this, wants the people at the game that the fans want at the game. They don't want
Yeah.
it to be representative of who the best players in the
Yeah.
league are. They
don't
already
know.
don't.
Willie Stiles would be pretty good in Miami.
All three of those guys are going. I think you can pretty much book it. But to me, that they want a player from every
I don't
team.
know can you have 3?
Oh, I don't know. If you get 3 from the division, then certainly can have 3 Leafs.
I
But-
need a lot of votes, I guess. But
Like we're going to pick someone from Philly. Like we need Konechny to go or Carter Hart or whoever you think it is. Do we need that instead
no,
of?
we don't. But that's a mandate. Just a mandate.
It is a mandate, but I hate that mandate. Arizona has to have an all-star. Who's the best player in Arizona?
Nick Ritchie.
Clayton,
Clayton Keller.
I would imagine.
And was he a point per game guy? I don't even know.
No, it's Nick Ritchie. He's your All-Star.
Stop. This is the Nick Ritchie nonsense. The best player, Clayton Keller, has 36 points in 36 games.
Yep.
Okay.
So there you go.
Who doesn't?
You want to go across the country?
I do.
All right. Where do you want to start? Vancouver?
Let's just do the
Start
Eastern
in
teams.
Vancouver.
Let's just do the.
Okay.
Oh, you want to do Canadian teams?
I don't know. I was going to go Canadians.
I only.
Canadians.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. JT Miller.
Okay. Bo Horvat's third in the league in goals. Bo's going.
Yep.
Bo knows.
Bo's a lock.
I'll take
Let me look at the
Petey.
standings. Oh yeah.
Do you, hold on. Do you know who's getting named?
I don't have to answer that question. I'm just telling you
So you're
who I'm picking.
okay. But if it comes out at whatever time they come out and you have them all right, I'm going to be coming in. Well, you're not. Anyways, continue.
Don't worry, I don't know anyone. Pedersen has 44 points
Yes.
to Horvat's 42.
Yes.
Bo Horvat's got 11 more goals. He's the captain. It's Bo.
Okay.
I'll say Bo too.
All right. This is a tough one. Who's Edmonton Oilers?
Jack Campbell?
Tyson Barrie.
All
All
right.
right, Connor's in.
Yep.
Connor's in.
Locks
Winnipeg.
Is it Connor? Who's
Morrissey?
Norrisy.
Oh, Norrisy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Morrissey.
Yeah.
That's simple.
That is simple, actually. He's got a bajillion
It's
points. Oh, well, Hellebuck. If you got to send goalies, right? Hellebuck's a top goalie in the league, so.
yeah. I'll take Morrissey.
But then you have Ottinger in that division.
It is.
You could go
It is pretty remarkable that this guy's been around, but you've never, ever thought that this guy would get himself into those type of conversations.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it is remarkable. You're
Is
right.
he not like a Morgan Riley type of guy? Like, does he not?
Right.
Do you not think that they were similar up until
Very much so.
Morrissey took off to another level?
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Morrissey has 43 points in 38 games from the
Yeah.
back end. Connor's 44 points playing up front, obviously. Pierre-Luc Dubois having a good year, too.
Okay.
Calgary,
Calgary. That's an easy one.
who you got?
Stanley Cup champion, Naz Kadri.
Really?
He's not having a very good year in terms of points, right?
That's a tough team for me to find someone who you're
Like Lindholm's probably leading their team in points.
he is by a few, not a ton of scoring. Kadri's like at 30 points in 39 games. You know, he has the physical edge and all that. How about Rasmus Anderson on the back end? I think that's my vote for them.
It's not Huberdeau.
It ain't Hubie Doobie Doo, who's got
No.
25 points in 36 games.
I'm going Lindholm.
See,
Okay.
this is the problem with the All-Star game right now, having to have one player from every team. They
Yes.
just don't have an All-Star. They don't. So,
Yeah.
thanks.
Where are we? Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Kachuk.
Yeah, Kachuk. Kachuk.
Brady Kachuk.
Yep.
For sure.
Drew's been
You gotta
good. He's a point per
remember, too,
game.
You got to remember, too, it's like,
Who the fans want there matters.
exactly. And
Yeah.
who the league thinks it is the next face of your different organizations. And there's,
Claude Giroux's a big face.
yeah, but his time's gone. They got to promote the
Yeah.
young next face.
Okay.
That's Brady Kachuk. No questions asked.
Leafs, it is really
What
remains
about
to be
the Habs?
seen. It's got to be Marner from the Leafs.
Yeah,
Habs,
it's Marner.
Nick Suzuki's
Yeah, I
the
guess.
guy. He's an excellent
Without
hockey
a
player.
doubt.
They suck so bad now.
They're just really not very good.
No.
It's the power play, too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're 15% or something like that.
I mean, I know they suck, but they got some guys that can shoot the puck a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
would think between Suzuki and Caulfield, they'd get it into the back of the net enough.
I had and I wrote this in today in my article for the Toronto Star that you can find on at Real Kyper on Twitter. An executive asked me Matheson for Tyson Barrie.
Yeah,
they're in the 5.
Oilers get
4-5.
a little bit heavier.
Just a left-handed shot too to maybe play with Bouchard.
Just someone to defend a bit more.
And Tyson Barrie can help with the power play and a right-handed shot. On the power
If
play.
I'm Montreal, like what, Barry was a do
And
for me.
You gotta keep players like Suzuki and Cole Caulfield interested in playing 41 games still.
I guess if I can trade Matheson for a 4th-round pick or for a guy who keeps my guys interested this year, I'll take the player down the road, rather than my interested guys. But I see it. I see what it would do for both teams.
Boston, not really hard.
The Passamans, 50 points.
No.
What about Omark?
Oh, yeah.
There he is right there.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't go
Omar.
21-1-1
No,
and
you're
not
right.
be named
You're
to
right.
the All-Star game.
Well, what's Pasternak in
Hopefully-
league scoring?
I really hope he goes there, and then like it's that stupid 3-on-3. No one plays defense, and like 25 pucks
Seven.
go by him.
Pulls his
Or no, just
groin.
completely breaks his confidence. He can't make a save again. That's
It's
what
like
I'm
going
hoping
in the
for.
home run derby
That's what
and
I'm
just
really
losing your
hoping
swing.
for. Yeah, he gets all those stupid 3-on-3s.
We don't even have to ask which Buffalo Sabre.
You can bomb through the top threes,
Tage.
the top 10 in scoring, and be like, okay, Tage for Buffalo, Robertson for Dallas, Kucherov for Tampa, Carlson for San Jose.
Hold on. Carlson for San Jose. Yeah, you're not wrong here.
You know, like you're not going to be a top 10 scorer and not go.
But there has to be goalies. What about Ottinger for Dallas?
No.
No?
Well,
He's had a good year.
what division's that?
Central
Central.
with Winnipeg and Colorado, Nashville.
Yeah. I got to think what other goalies would be in the Central.
I guess UC Saros, but he's not having a very good year.
He's not having a good year, no. Minnesota's got who? Fleury.
Yeah.
Colorado's. Oh, is Colorado getting
No.
any help from? No. Okay.
No,
from
I
Binnington.
bet you Ottinger goes
Oh,
to the Stars.
Vejmelka could go. Vejmelka might go over Keller.
But Robertson will get named tonight.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the question mark?
It won't be
All right.
it won't be Ottinger over Jason Robertson. That's
Yeah, he's
that is
just
he
behind
is
McDavid in goals.
He is the next face there in Dallas. If
All
he
right.
isn't already now.
Capitals is going to be
Well, who's that going to be?
Ovi.
right.
Oh,
And
that
Ovi
guy.
will not. Well, Ovi can skip it and go to Miami Beach. Can you imagine that? Remember
Just
he did that
go
in
and
Ottawa?
vacation down there? Did
Do you
he?
remember in Ottawa?
No.
He didn't show up in Ottawa for an NHL All-Star because he said he had a bad back and he was in, I think, Miami Beach.
Great.
I don't
That
know.
would
I
be
think
an
he- I
all-time
think he
move
was
to go to
on
the
a beach.
venue. Yeah.
He took the 1-game suspension.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I do
right.
remember that.
Yeah, here's the thing. If I was Ovi or one of those guys that's been in 100 of these, I'd be taking the 1-game
You're like,
suspension.
my
too.
punishment is an
No.
extra game off after?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen.
Done.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, there is not a snowball's chance that this guy is now chasing Wayne Gretzky and he doesn't show up at the NHL All-Star game.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
What if he
Listen,
wants to wear a Russian
I was going to say
jersey?
there's some other storylines floating around him that maybe he doesn't want to be in the spotlight for that long as well. So,
Media tour.
Yeah.
anyways,
But they're going to have Ovi. So Ovi will go. And the question is, does Sid Crosby go?
well, he'd be the
See,
representative.
this is another thing that's
Right?
frustrating about being named an all-star. Is it just that it doesn't mean anything? So these guys are like, oh, if it doesn't mean anything to my legacy, then what? I don't care.
Yeah, they
You know, my dad
they
went to
do
the All-
guilt a lot of players
they?
in we need you.
Yeah.
We need you. You're our face.
I think that's a big one for Sid. Is that the league's like,
Yeah.
you're Sidney Crosby. We need you
Yes,
there.
we need you. And there are some times when it's legit, I'm sure, and he's just tired or his back's bothering him, and he has skipped a
He
few.
has. I think the same weekend Ovi did the one year.
But to me, it'd
He's
be
hurt.
much more appealing to these older guys if you're just playing a real hockey game. Like going there and playing this stupid 3-on-3 like tournament where you're just, like Sid really have any interest in playing on a 3-on-3 tournament? Like what's he, I don't know. To me, the 5-on-5, a real hockey game is much more appealing
Yeah.
to some of these guys. Anyways,
Well, if that's the case, and we're talking about seasoned veterans and whether they go or not, let's talk Chicago Blackhawks. Like who's
They have to send a hockey player.
they got to send
Oh, they
a
can't.
hockey player, and I'll be shocked if Pat Kane goes.
You would.
Yeah,
Just think, what are you going to celebrate type of thing?
I just think that first of all,
He's first
no,
on the
I
team
have-
with 27 and
I
37.
have
Whoa.
talked
Maybe Max Domi goes.
right from the beginning of the year about all this speculation about him being traded or not, that he's in control. He's got all the power in the world. But the one thing is he's not 100% healthy.
Yeah.
He's not. And I don't know what that number is. But if this guy shut it down tomorrow and said, yeah, thanks, I'm just going to wait for free agency.
Mhm.
And it's, I did my part for half a season with some of these kids, but I don't need to. I want to play for another 4 or 5 years, and I don't want any more wear and tear this year. Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Would they send Alex Stalock, who has played 11 games? and
Peter
has-
Mrazek. Let's break.
All right, let's break.
Seth Jones. A face. A young face who's making $9 million.
I know he's minus 26.
He will be the first minus 26 in NHL history at an All-Star game.
So true.
Okay, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with PJ Stock. Eric Lindros is on the horizon. Plenty more on Real Kyper and Bourne.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
All right. It's only taken half a season to hunt down PJ Stock for us.
Got him.
That's how busy he is. Although every once in a while, if I really miss him, I just go get the video of him fighting Pete.
Stephen Pete, yeah.
Stephen Pete.
It's a good one.
Peach, how are you, pal?
It's about time, guys.
It's about time.
I know. Well, if you guys would stop calling me Collect, it would be a lot different. I don't pick up those calls.
Listen,
and I know it's not Bourne because he's the bright one. Kyper, this totally is on you. This is totally on you,
buddy. I'm jilted. You dumped me for Dangle and that what's it called? The pro what?
The player cast.
The player cast.
Yeah. It's a working process. It's pretty fun though. It's interesting. It's obviously Peyton Manning and Eli Manning for people that don't know on Sportsnet now on Saturday nights we do the late game. Steve Dangle does the Toronto game where it's amazing how he just sits and yells at a camera for so long. And I can being a Toronto fan and just I don't want to get well I want to mention something about Toronto later just because I haven't had a chance to go on my Toronto rant with you guys this year. But he's been doing it for quite some time. It's fun. So now we do the late game and it's a little where you sit down and shoot the poop and have a drink and talk sports.
Nice. Okay, we're going to get into the Leafs because we definitely want your thoughts on the first half of the season here. But as far as the Montreal Canadiens go, no. You got to come clean. There's Leaf fans that want to hear the misery of a Montreal Canadian fan right now. So you're repping them. How has it been? Will they feel better when Nick Suzuki's named to the All-Star game? What's going on? Where's the vibe?
Well, the vibe, you know what Marty Salin brought in last year, and I'm midway through the season when he took over, he created a lot of I'm going to use a French term, Didlock. He kind of opened up some of the scoring droughts for some of the guys. Obviously, the one that everyone knows is Cole Caulfield, right? So the Canadiens still lost the same amount of games, and they gave up the same amount of goals, but they were more exciting to watch. And a lot of it had to do with the excitement in their play. And it was a lot to do with, you know what? It was a little bit run and gun hockey. Like, there's not a ton of defense. Yeah, they're going to give up tons of opportunities, and goalie's going to stand on his head, but they're having opportunities at the other end. And that's something that they didn't have under Ducharme. But that was last year. But how did it end up? Well, they got the first pick overall, so kind of summed up last year. And then this year started off with a little bit of that same, Martin never really had a coach. Never had a preseason to kind of get things settled and get guys in place and really have some extra time to work, as you guys know how hard it is during the season. So it started off, he had that time. And then what happened, everyone knows they finished 32nd. They're a young team. Well, now injuries happened to their veterans. And as much as they were expected to not be great, they were still starting off to lose, but lose the right way. And they did win some games because some nights their goalies stood on their heads and other nights they had one line, Caulfield, Suzuki, and Monty they scored goals and it was fun. They've hit a hard wall, a hard reality wall. They're missing veterans in key positions. They're not that run and gun hockey. If you're not scoring on the other end and you're still playing porous defensively, teams are a lot better now. The tail end of last season didn't really matter. Now it's starting to matter.
Yeah, it is.
Look good.
No, it's fascinating to watch too, and will be interesting to see what they decide to do as they move towards the trade deadline. I want to make sure we have time to get your Toronto rant in, so I'm just going to step aside and you let us know your thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I'll be really quick. They've been fun to watch. I'm really excited about the Leafs. My only problem is we're starting off against Tampa or Boston to start the playoffs again. But I want to go back to this 1/8, 1 plays 8. I know back in the day I grew up in Adams, the old Adams division fan, but we used to watch they always played the same teams, but it's just not the same anymore. And I feel bad for the Leafs because despite their slow start and how amazing they've been over the last little while, this team is built to have success during the regular season, and then the rules change. And I don't know if some of the moments that I've watched that they're ready to make that playoff change. And the two teams that they're going to have to play against probably off the hop are two teams that are built that way. So I'm enjoying the ride right now for Toronto. I just don't want everyone to get too excited because we all know what could potentially happen.
All right. You've got
I'm
two.
positive Toronto, though, right?
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad for you.
It's not bad.
So
I'm kind of listen. I have to be the Canadians still last again. Well, in their division, so anything up is positive.
So you got two choices here with our boy Sammy McKee here. You can cry in your spilt milk.
Mm-hmm. Sounds
Is that a
tempting.
saying?
Sounds good.
Is that a saying?
Yeah.
Am I close enough?
No. Just plow
You
ahead.
can cry like a baby. That's better. Like Sammy, or you can actually do something about it. What do they need? What do they do to ensure that they can get past a Tampa or Boston?
I think they got to get. I love their up front when they commit to playing 200 feet. Like every team that's successful has their O'Reilly, Bergeron, Kopitar, Taves. You know, Toronto's a little bit more high flying, and that's why they get away with it during the season. I don't know if Tavares has the foot speed to be that guy in the playoffs to go against the team's top line every year. So that's my concern. But then I watched how the Montreal Canadiens, who were a team that were terrible during the COVID year, and they still managed to make it in the Canadian division. And they rode three guys on the back end who were just big, bulky, solid defensemen. They shut down team cycles. They cleared out the front of the net, let their goalies make saves, and they got the puck out of the zone. And, you know, I'm thinking you don't need defense that are super mobile and great. You just need them to clear the front of the net, don't give the other team opportunities, and get the puck out of your zone. Toronto's least forwards are uber talented if they can not have to play defense. So, they had in the Canadiens' best line when they went to the Cup final was Eric Stahl, Corey Perry, and Joel Armia. And they rode the defense of Edmonston, Weber, forget who else I'm leaving, Ben Sherratt. Like those six names right there are not going to win you hockey games, but they're not going to lose you hockey games. And they're good enough to keep you in every playoff game. So I would really love to see Toronto. You don't need, guys that go run around. You don't need more goals. I think you need more thick, heavy guys that understand what it's going to be like for playoff hockey.
Do you have any belief that they could add, like Matthew Nyes, this kid's coming out of college, he's 6'3", 210. Do you think it needs to be someone with experience, or would it be okay just to have him come along and be the guy for the Leafs?
Not in playoffs.
No.
Not the first year. I mean, there are guys that can step in. I think it's easier to do it in an offensive role than it is to do it in a shutdown role. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the hardest part. Every time you're going up against, let's just say it's Kucherov. That's why it's hard. I mean, the Leafs had a great run at it last year. I do think this year is the year that they can make that. They just got to get through that first round. That's all they have to do. And I think anything can happen from there. They got great people behind the bench, great people upstairs, and great personnel on the ice. It's just they don't have it in their head just yet. Joel Edmondson is not a flashy name. He's not a flashy name. He hasn't been great for the Montreal Canadiens lately. Ben Sherratt's another one. He's in Detroit now. They just play simple playoff hockey. Get the puck out of the zone. Get the puck out. Clear the front of the net. You allow to get away with a little bit of rugby in the playoffs, and they have that in their mentality. It's hard to teach an offensive guy to play dirty rugby playoff hockey because they just don't have it. That's kind of where I think you just need a couple of bodies. Who's going to kill the last minute of a penalty or to start it in zone heavy minutes, the last minute of a period? The other team's making a push. Who's not going to get worried or try and ice it? He'll just eat it in their feet and get, take body checks because they know, a great name that I played with was a guy named Sean O'Donnell, who was the least flashiest player ever. But OD did whatever he had to do just to eat seconds, get the puck out. How many passes did he make in a year? I don't know. But he got the puck up out of our zone to Joe Thornton, and Joe just hunted it down, passed it to Glenn Murray, and they scored. I know I'm dating myself a little, but that's kind of – you don't need the game has completely changed in the playoffs, and it's the only sport that kind of does it. But I think that's something that they really got to pick out whoever they can. And I think it's a big. I think this is that core group. I really do think if it's not this year, I know everyone's been saying it for a long time, but they really got to come up with ideas how to change this, because or else we're going to just keep doing this.
One more for me before we let you go, and we're going to hunt down Eric Lindros. He says hi, but I told him that.
Yeah, Big E's after me. You know what he's doing right now? He's just taping things that I'm saying, and he's writing them down.
He is. Maybe you can rate this one down because this is my final one. Your ex-team.
Good.
Your ex-team, the Boston Bruins. How
Crazy.
surprised are you?
Everyone is. Like, don't you can't be anyone in the hockey world and tell me they should be where they are. They're plus 57 in 37 games. It's a goal and a half per game. They're up and they're winning. They brought back a guy that hasn't played in the NHL to be kind of their number 2 guy. They were supposed to have injuries that were going to be out till Christmas, and he's Marchand comes back early. But he got 2 goals in his first game back. They play a lot of hockey, and they all have reasons to be a little bit older and slower. And it is amazing how well they're playing. Taylor Hall, and they just have the right people in all these right places. Their back end's been, again, so many holes. It shouldn't be great. They're playing right. They're just playing. Their 2 goalies have been spectacular. You need great goaltending. You need solid D, and the right guys making the right things happen up top. And I give so much of that credit to Patrice Bergeron. A lot, obviously, Jim Montgomery coming in and getting them, kind of keeping them on pace for what they had last year. They were a good team last year, but they're finding ways to win right now and finding ways not to lose at home. It's pretty amazing. They haven't lost at home in regulation. So they have the right recipe. If I'm Toronto, we need a little tiny bit from every one of those Boston guys. If a Toronto guy can add it to their game, they're not that far off. But it's the little things that are going to make the difference in the playoffs.
Hey, don't be such a stranger on our show.
I stopped calling collect, buddy.
All right.
Appreciate you, Peach. Thanks, buddy.
Bye, Barney.
Former National Hockey Leaguer, PJ Stock.
USA Sweden 5-5 at the start of the third period. Defense.
They're kids.
I know. I know.
The unpredictability.
That junior hockey's wild. Some of those games are down 6-2 and you win 9-6. It's fun. I understand why people love junior hockey.
We're going to hunt down Eric Lindros, talk a little with Connor Bedard as he gets ready.
Now, he was good in junior, Eric, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's a little bit of hype on him.
Yeah. Seemed like
Would there have been any internet hype for Eric Lindros back then compared to what maybe Connor Bedard was going through? Let's bring him in. Big E, Eric Lindros, Hall of Famer. Thanks for making time, pal. How are you?
I'm good, Kyper. How are you doing?
We're doing great. We're going to watch a gold medal game, Canada, Czechia. And I'm just wondering now, the Connor Bedard show and what is going on. And, if there's one guy that can... What's that?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. And when you watch a guy like that and attract the attention... is there a part of you that looks upon what you went through, or do you just avoid that altogether?
You know what? I think we all got a little bit lucky when people weren't walking around with cell phones the way that they are right now, and Twitter wasn't there, and little mini clips of goals weren't available, within seconds of something happening. No, I mean, geez, I was early '90s, right? So it was all pretty quiet and insulated, and you really just got out of the hotel, you went to the rink, and you just had a real focus and went and did your job.
So did you not feel the weight or the pressure that came with being such an exciting young player?
Well, you know what? I think right now, I don't think he would feel it as anything other than the desire to have the pressure that you want to have on yourself when you want your team to win. That's the biggest thing, and that's probably what he's feeling right now. I mean, no one can really speak for him but himself. But I think that the pressure to win for Canada, especially playing in Canada, is incredible. And I mean, it's great pressure. It's a lot of fun, and it's wonderful when you do it. I had a chance in Saskatchewan and Saskatoon to to play for Canada, to win in Canada, and it was amazing. But leading up to it, there's a lot of pressure. There really is. There's a ton of pressure that leads up to it, and there's no escaping that. But there's a great group of players there, and it looks like we're in pretty good shape to go give a good run for it.
You jokingly said that not that many cameras back then, but if you can go back and close your eyes and you're this phenom out of Oshawa and there's this massive buildup towards the NHL draft, would you have been the type of guy that would just sneak a peek on Twitter to find out what the heck everybody's talking about?
No, I don't think so. You know what? Honestly, Kyper, you get out of bed. You go to those. I'd go to the rink a little bit early, and they always had those the courtesy shuttles for moving the players back and forth between the rinks. And we just slide over to the rink in a few hours, 3 hours before the game, and get ready to go. There's not really peeking. Of course, when you walk by the in the downstairs of the hotel, you're going to see. Back then it was newspapers were actually prevalent, and everybody, they were all over the place when you had breakfast and whatnot. But, things have changed, and but no, I bet you he's just getting up, getting ready to go, and the blinders are on, and he takes the blinders off when it's time to go and play the game because he's really seeing the ice extremely well.
Yeah, no kidding. And you know what? I have to ask this because I can't help but think about. You get drafted and, the transition from Quebec to Philly happens and that's all been well documented and covered. Staring Connor Bedard in the face right now is Arizona and this 4,800 seat rink and years in almost a minor league building. What do you think he would be thinking about when in terms of wishing or hoping or just worrying about what his next team's going to look like?
I don't think that's something that's going on is going to enter his head today. I think that might be something that he'll talk about, or maybe we can't speak for him, but maybe he goes and confronts a little bit later on. I mean, how long? I don't know how long Bill Armstrong and the Coyotes are going to be in that rink, and who knows? Who knows what the overall plan is and where he what he decides.
Well, and it really is up to Arizona to paint a picture that this thing's going to look real healthy in a very short period of time. I mean, that's unfortunately you didn't have that with Quebec. There was a lot of issues going on there that you weren't comfortable. You were totally within your rights to do and say and act the way you did back then. But, this guy's carrying a lot of clout, much like only a handful of guys in history are able to do coming out of, say, junior hockey.
Mm-hmm. Well, and, he'll make his call on things, I guess. We just all sit back and wait and see.
We will wait and see. Hey, listen, I know you're on the ice with what's going on? Alumni? What do you got going on in Philly?
I'm actually in here to watch Phoenix play Philly here in Philly tonight. So, no, we're on our way. It's 90s night.
Oh, cool.
Right up your alley.
Yeah.
Eric, thanks for doing this, man.
All right, guys.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Eric Lindros, Hall of Famer.
This feels like a touchy subject.
Well, I think he's past that, though.
I know he is
past that, and we've actually seen him put on Quebec Nordique jerseys, and that's.
He's addressed it at length.
That's water under the bridge now.
Yeah.
And it has been well documented. But these guys, like Bedard, like Mario Lemieux, didn't even get up for Pittsburgh. Didn't even get up off his seat.
And he was just like, thanks. I don't remember that. I don't.
That was my era.
Yeah.
And I think it was the Montreal Forum.
Did he not want to go there?
I think they had contract issues.
Oh.
And he gave them the shoo.
That's great.
If I remember correctly.
For young guys like that, you must be taking so much advice from adults. Not that you're not legally an adult in some cases, but generally, you don't know.
Oh, he's 17. Connor's 17.
I know.
Eric's 18.
See, I forget what 17, 18 is. You got kids that are just through that age, but you're still a kid.
Oh, yeah.
To say I'm not going to sign this contract or I'm not going to go play for team. You're listening to other people.
And they're
presumably Bedard's agent saying this is good or bad, or
it's a different world now, right?
Yeah.
It's just a completely different world.
It is.
But the power is the same.
You
And
won't-
Connor Bedard holds. He'll come in and he'll be one of the bigger voices at 18.
You know how in talk radio it's fun to do what if scenarios? Here, I got a what if for you.
Yeah.
Lottery balls fall. Arizona gets the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
Bedard's agent makes it clear to Bill Armstrong he's not coming there. He's not going to play
It
for
might
you.
be a possibility, as Eric said.
What is a return on the number 1 overall pick this year look like in a trade before the draft?
That's an awesome question.
That is an awesome question.
I mean, if you won't go and you're
Yeah.
Arizona, you're like,
See,
what do you got? Empty your pockets and show me.
Here is the double-edged sword, or the issue here is that whether or not it's Bedard with a potential Arizona, or it's any other star player. Once you establish that I don't want to be here anymore, you actually lose some power, but it may be regained with a number of bidders that are willing to throw themselves in the race. So sometimes you just got to cut your best deal.
Yeah.
And if you think it's more, it may be
Like in the NBA,
down the
teams
road, but
trade
it may
5
not be.
firsts sometimes.
That was what I was going to throw out right away, is 5 first rounders to start. Like I need, I'm giving you.
I want your draft picks that you can trade.
Yeah, I'm giving you a top prospect that we see.
A franchise changer.
5 of them in 50 years.
I remember seeing a report, and this is 10 years ago before NBA players started making $1 zillion. I think LeBron was making $20 million, and they had done the research, and they said LeBron is actually worth $80 million. Based on what he brings into the franchise, now I think he earns 50 or something per year, but he's probably worth $100 million. Bedard's probably worth hundreds of millions over the course of his career to a franchise. Maybe not hundreds.
The Montreal Canadiens have 5 first-round picks in the next 3 years. They have theirs, Florida's, then they have theirs
in the next 3
2020.
years. See, that's interesting to me. Get them in a bundle like that.
See, if we remember, pull up the Lindros trade to Philadelphia, because it was first rounders, it was prospects, Forsberg, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It was Mike Ricci. It was Kerry Huffman. I think it was the goalie. But the equivalent of that trade today would be like $15 million off your cap. Right. Or added to your cap.
Right.
20 million. Like back then you just didn't care
what the dollars were.
The dollars were.
He was traded from the Quebec Nordiques to the Philadelphia Flyers for Steve Duchesne, Peter Forsberg, Ron Hextall, Kerry Huffman, Mike Ricci, Chris Simon, future considerations, a round first pick, 2 first-round picks.
That's a Colorado
and a
Avalanche
cap.
Cup right there.
If we try to equate that to the salary cap,
Yeah.
that's like $40 million that Arizona
No one can take that on.
Nobody can take that on.
Yeah.
So now you are really
Arizona
down.
can take on more than most.
But they don't want to.
No.
They love their dead money. They love their, whatever. But they will not take that for Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
They're not ready for it. They don't want it. They don't want to pay for it.
That's franchise altering for them.
So that's 5
they want
first
the star.
rounders and maybe guaranteed all your blue chip prospects.
Well, that's it's not unreasonable to think you could be that wild.
So
but I also think there's a world.
That was a good question.
Thank you.
5 first-round picks, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki. They do the whole franchise.
Slaffy taffy.
To me, that's such a fascinating question.
Well, because I think there's a possibility that if Bedard didn't want to go, he would communicate it quietly, right? Like the agent would say, he doesn't want to do it. Can you trade it?
You know what?
There's no way that doesn't get out.
I don't believe that his representative, and I'm not even sure who it is. Is it
Greg Landry?
Okay.
Of Newport Sports Management.
Yeah, that's right. He's a Newport guy. I don't think that conversation gets broached until after he's an Arizona Coyote.
For sure. You wait till the balls go.
Yeah, you don't want to create that energy. You don't want to create something
don't
that
want people to
isn't
know.
definitively an issue
So
just
true.
yet.
You know, in my ear from Derek Brandeo, and I'm throwing you under the bus by saying it came from you, is what if the Leafs lose in the first round? Would they trade Matthews plus? You get your Arizona want Austin Matthews and picks. Bedard comes to Toronto.
Okay.
Now
listen,
we're just
No.
Listen,
You guys were
Longer.
trading
Slide
Morgan
to
Riley
souls.
yesterday.
If
Just
they
saying.
want Matthews, they just wait one more year and
oh,
get him
you
for free.
son.
You just no, I'm serious. You
right
don't.
in Leafs fans mush.
You just wait a year. You're not trading for Austin Matthews.
You're saying to Matthews, come play
unless
with
Austin
Bedard.
wants to go. If he's open to it, then you just wait a year. You don't need to trade him.
It's a good point. Yeah, because then you'd say, well, you get to play with Bedard when you come here.
Yeah.
Please God, don't let him get it. Please God. What?
Oh my goodness, we have derailed.
Well, no, I'm just hoping to God that they don't. This isn't even a conversation. Just let it be Chicago or Philly or
Yeah,
God forbid Montreal, like somewhere where it's just like he's going to be noticeable.
yeah.
We should hope Montreal. Yeah, we should.
Should we?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you last checked when a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup.
We just watched Montreal go to the Stanley Cup final with Eric Stahl as the best line. Who did PJ just say it was? Eric Stahl, Joel Armia, and someone else? Corey Perry? I don't need them to have Connor Bedard.
It would be fun to
It would
watch.
be fun. It would be fun. I'm enjoying
And
Ottawa's
we're in
resurgence.
Canada.
Buffalo's resurgence with Tage. It's all good for the Leafs. It's fun. Yeah.
All right, what else is making news?
Oh,
I lost
plenty
my
things.
lineup.
I got mine.
What do you
Here
got? We got a
Here's-
few more minutes.
How about Max Pacioretty returns to the Carolina Hurricanes lineup? Do you remember Max Pacioretty's on the Canes?
Forgot about that.
He's played no games for them.
Yeah, that's
and
what
they're the
I
second
can't
best
recall
team in the
him
league.
seeing him in any uniform in Carolina.
0 games.
Totally forgot.
Second in the NHL overall.
And what is Vegas? He's making 7.
Yeah, Vegas got back 7 in cap space. They got nothing. Nothing.
Carolina took all 7 million.
I think they took it all and gave them nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
Wow.
none of that is left on Vegas's cap.
That's surprising that they would eat all of that.
I mean, he's a good player. You got him for nothing.
It was 1 year.
They just
too.
handed him off.
And it's just 1 year on the
Yeah.
cap.
Oh, that's all he's got
Yeah,
left?
he's a free agent after this year.
And he played well in Vegas too at
Man,
times.
his name hasn't come up at all as a UFA guy. I guess he hasn't been playing, so that's
And he plays
tough
on a
to-
good team, so they're not gonna
Right.
trade him. He's just gonna play with them, and then they'll sign somewhere else. But yeah, I feel like we never talk about Carolina, and they're just every year they're the same sort of machine-like team in the regular season.
They're actually a fascinating team. When you talk about who is their all-star.
Their goalie.
Svechnikov.
Well, the team leader in points is Martin Necas this year, 37 and 38 games. 17 of those are goals. Svechnikov is right there, Kipper, a few points behind him, 19 goals in 38 games. But Aho, if you go down the list of this team, Aho's got 30. Then it's Brent Burns, Stefan Nason, Martin Hook's got 10 goals. Seth Jarvis has 13 goals. Jordan Stahl's got 10 goals. They're deep. Shea, Fast, Kotkaniemi, all those guys. Kotkaniemi's like a fourth liner for them.
Kochkov.
Slavin's one of the
That's
best
my
defensives.
Kochikov.
Paul Stastny's on the team.
Is he your?
He's my vote.
But
He
is
saved them.
he your playoff goalie that's going to take you
Sure, so
to the promised land if
He
you're
hates
Carolina?
Freddie Anderson.
I would sure as hell trust him more than Freddie. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I was
think
looking
that's-
up all those Justin Hall numbers. This Jalen Chatfield on their third pair has been very good for them defensively. Good on denials, breaking the puck out. Their D's so good. Derek Stepan's on their team. Poor Andre Kasha, 1 game played.
Oof.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
So that was interesting. Pacioretty coming back. Nick Backstrom and Tom Wilson are close to returning for the Washington Capitals.
But then they lost Carlson for a long time.
You know what?
Cracked his face, didn't he? On a
It
puck?
reminded me of the one I took to the face where, he took it in the mush pretty good there, and I think his jaw looked not great.
What happened to you?
Slapper in the face. Right here. I got a 10 screw plate and an X plate that holds my chin together.
Really?
Oh, it was bad. Yeah, I was wired shut for 2 months.
Who shot it?
My own teammate. I passed it up to the point to the D-man, went to the net front. No tips, nothing. Straight screamer in the jaw.
Did he feel bad?
He brought me a bottle of whiskey. I'm like, thanks. I'm drinking liquid Percocet. I'm like, thanks.
This should help.
God.
Yeah. That was the last game I ever played.
Tom Wilson will help them, you think, a little?
Do you like Tom Wilson?
I'm a big Tom Wilson guy.
Thought you might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got for us, Sammy, on your list?
Winter Classic sets ratings record.
1.8 million viewers on
Doesn't
TNT.
sound like very much.
1.8.
No, I think that maybe says a lot more about previous Winter Classics than it does
Yeah.
about this one.
No, that's not. I don't think it's the highest ever. I think that's the highest maybe for cable,
Okay.
right?
But what are we talking about here?
Like NBC would be
Yeah,
not.
NBC would be not cable. I think they've had 4 million people watch.
Yeah.
For NBC.
You see, you came around, right? I read your column. You
Yeah.
like the outdoor game. You think it works.
I know people love it.
Yes.
And I've been to, and I've covered many. I got to play in an alumni game and Rangers in Philadelphia. The energy when you're there is off the charts.
And what's cool is it's really unique. It's something different. And the NHL, to their credit, they don't stuff it down our throat with advertising. Like it's for the local market more than anything, right?
Well, it is now. I think
when it first
local
came out,
fan
it was huge,
base.
yeah.
It was like a national feel, right?
For
like
sure.
must see TV nationally. I don't think that's the case anymore. But it's whether it was NBC or TNT now, it's a signature kind of day for them. They were smart enough not to go against the NFL, so they moved it off a day instead of Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
They seem to be happy with their TNT number. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking NFL numbers.
No. Ratings are an interesting thing. Like I couldn't imagine what they used to get or how that changes or anything. So sounds like it's good though. Ratings are good. Tampa Bay got smoked by the Minnesota Wild last night.
With Brian Elliott in net.
So did you say on or off the air? Maybe I just haven't stopped paying attention to you.
That's
but
fine,
you
get that a lot.
talked about Point and how many guys ahead of him you
I was
would
off
pick.
the air where
Okay,
I said
good.
that
I want to hear this on the air.
on the air. Yeah. I think you would be shocked how high I would pick Braden Point if I could do a draft of all the players in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like way up
Like
there.
top 5.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Top 5.
I mean, you're looking
I
at
don't think he's that
McCarr,
far off.
McKinnon,
This
McDavid.
guy is money.
Taking him ahead of Matthews?
That's
In the playoffs?
Oh.
Yes.
Piss.
he's gonna walk out of the building. I don't know.
Hey, he's already proven he's one of the best clutch playoff guys in history.
Yeah.
So you tell me how you pick Matthews over him right now with his cup rings and his record producing points.
He's just such a force of nature.
JB's not wrong.
He's
healthy now, right? He's in the zone.
Oh yeah, he's whatever, he's got 40 points in 31 games or something, scores.
Do you take him ahead of Tage Thompson?
Yes, 100% without flinching.
Tage is gonna.
I know. Would I take
He's got to go through a few things before he gets into
in
that.
a couple of years, maybe Tage Thompson, but yeah, like this year, right now,
make the playoffs, Tage. Right. Just
over Leon Draisaitl.
Love that question. Love it. Yes. Yeah. Draisaitl, I think is unbelievably skilled and all that, but like you don't have Braden Point games where you go, I don't know, he just didn't do it for me. Like Draisaitl have 7 points one night.
Ahead of Mitch Marner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ahead of Kucherov?
listen, it's hard to knock Point over guys that have not done it.
I think that's it, Kyper.
That's it.
That's
all. Okay.
Well,
you're great.
did he win a
you're
Conn Smythe?
talented, but you've not led anything.
Braden Point.
I think Braden Point would be one of the first 3 names
did not win a
listed when they were making the next Team Canada. Right?
Yeah.
Like I think he's right up there. He might be playing the top line on Team Canada. So maybe you guys are right.
Is there any chance Canada loses tonight?
Yeah. They got run pretty good in the first game
Yeah.
by the Czechs.
I think that woke him up a little bit,
Caught
put
him
him
off-
on notice.
Caught him off guard. They tried like 17 Michigans in the first period. News of that traveled to Cabo San Lucas. Wasn't pleased. My old man and I weren't very pleased about that. So I don't know. I think they'll probably win, but
There were a great many Canadians offended by the fancy play.
Which fancy play?
Oh, against Czechia the first time when the Canadians tried the Michigan,
the Michigan,
legit
twice.
three. Was it twice? Yeah.
Twice. One more for you on Canada tonight.
Yep.
Does Shane Wright need a big game here?
Listen, I hope Shane Wright enjoys this experience playing for Canada because outside of the World Championship, I don't know if he's going to get another look at this.
Wearing that jersey.
He's non-existent.
You know, you worry about a guy who started to fall in the draft as it got closer to the draft at the end of last year and then coming this year and didn't have a great start for Seattle at all. You know, like you just worry. And now he's not. And he's got, I think, it was 6 points in 6 games in the World Juniors. Okay.
No, not great numbers, but spent two weeks in the American Hockey League and actually looked okay.
Yeah,
and
scored some goals.
He's going to be a National Hockey League player.
Yes.
The question is he going to be a star?
I think watching Lafreniere has really been eye-opening for people that like guys who are really good and highly touted. It's not promised. It's not for sure that you're going to matter in a big way because you're drafted that high. Whether it's Yakupov or some of these guys that just take a little longer to come around.
Well, we shall
Hoping he
see.
scores a couple big goals tonight.
Yeah,
We'll
hope
see
he gets
tonight.
the winner.
Our thanks to Eddie Olchuk, who's calling the game tonight for Seattle Kraken against the Toronto Maple Leafs. PJ Stock and Eric Lindros. Fun show today, guys.
Good stuff, team.
Really enjoyed it. Enjoy your night. Sit back and relax. Plenty of hockey. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Stay safe, everybody.
Banking packages from Scotiabank have unique rewards for unique people like you. Whether it's a backpacking honeymoon or a new home with a yoga studio, we want to help you do what you love and get rewards you'll love. Visit scotiabank.com/ultimate350. Conditions apply. Scotiabank. You're richer than you think.